1945, August 6th. Morris R. Jepson armed the little boy bomb in the back of the American B-29 bomber Enola Gay. Within the hour, the Japanese city of Hiroshima would be in ruins and thousands dead, and within another 3 days, the city of Nagasaki would also be decimated. The only 2 ever atomic bombs used in war had been dropped within a week, with the purpose of ending the Second World War. It was America's last attempt to end the war without any further American casualties. It was the bloody end to a bloody war. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, finding peace through the tragedy of death. With World War II lasting for 5 years, America was at wit's end. Although the European war had ended, Japan was still unwilling to back down. Also, there had been a deep-set grudge ever since Pearl Harbor, the surprise attack on American soil that damaged nearly 20 ships, 300 planes, and killed more than 2,400 people and injured another 1,000. Throughout the war, millions had been killed, and Americans were fed up with sending their youth to die fighting. They wanted the war to end. Soon after being thrust into office due to Franklin D. Roosevelt's sudden death, Harry S. Truman was faced with a horrible decision. It was whether or not to carry out Operation Downfall, the proposed invasion of Japan. If they were to have proceeded with the plan, such an invasion would cost at a minimum 250,000 casualties, and might cost as much as 1 million, and that was for America alone. President Truman was warned by his generals not to invade Japan, but it seemed like the only option until he was briefed on the Manhattan Project. On April 24, 1945, he was briefed on the ongoing Manhattan Project, which was creating the first ever atomic bombs.
First off, remember we are working with something that was experimental. The atom bomb was experimental.
There had been nothing quite like them before, or anything as powerful, as the Trinity test showed. Trinity was the first ever atomic bomb test. Truman assembled a team of advisors to help him decide what to do with this newfound knowledge. They thought to bomb the cities of Hiroshima and Kokura, both of which were major cities in Japan. Not only did they believe that this would end the war, but it would also intimidate the Soviet Union. The price would be costly, but they believed it was worth it. "It is an awful responsibility which has come to us," wrote Truman. After much consideration, a decision was made. It was final. The bombs were to be dropped. The crew of the Enola Gay bomber plane was told about their mission, but according to the pilot of the plane, Paul Tibbets, they did not know what they were in for.
Well, the question, while it was being moved, the question is, what will the target be? And I could say that there was all kinds of conjecture. Everybody made some kind of a suggestion. And obviously one of the most important ones was, well, why not Tokyo?
Sure.
Let's drop it on the Emperor's Palace. That'll impress them. Jimmy Doolittle says, yes, if we do that, who are we going to make peace with?
From September 1944 until May 1945, they trained together at the Wendover Air Force Base in Wendover, Utah, dropping fake dummy bombs that were similar size and shape of real atomic bombs. In late May 1945, the team was moved to the island Tinian in preparation for the day that they would get the order to carry out their final mission. On July 26th, the USS Indianapolis delivered the atomic bombs to Tinian. Shortly after departing Tinian on July 30th, the ship was torpedoed and sunk, and 800 of its 1,200 men died. On August 5th, Tibbets named the aircraft they would be using after his mother, Enola Gay. On August 6th, at 2:45 a.m., the order was received. It was time to drop the bomb. It was 8:15 a.m. Japanese time when the bomb Little Boy was released from the plane. It took approximately 44.4 seconds till the devastation on the ground began. By then, the plane was 11 miles away, but the blast was still clearly visible. As the bomb fell over Hiroshima and exploded, we saw an entire city disappear. I wrote in my log the words, "My God, what have we done?" said Captain Robert Lewis, the co-pilot. What had been done was the first ever atomic bomb had been dropped. Thousands had died, and the nuclear age had begun. It was the change of ages.
His father ran a store at a section where they sold candies. So we used to like to go there and munch on candies. He was in Hiroshima when the bomb dropped. So.
Did he survive?
No.
Their skin was peeling off and hanging. I thought they were holding something or the rag or something, but that was really skin.
3 days later, the plane named the Boxcar, piloted by the pilot Charles Sweeney, dropped the bomb Fat Man on the Japanese city of Nagasaki, decimating it like the city of Hiroshima. In the end, he had dropped the bomb that had killed up to 80,000 people. Sweeney thought that the bombs were unnecessary and didn't need to be dropped on the cities. I looked upon it as a duty. I just wanted the war to be over so we could get back home to our loved ones. I hope my missions were the last ones of their kinds that will ever be flown. Charles Sweeney, 1995. Charles's flight had had fuel problems from the start, and the clouds and smoke were covering up the mission's primary target, the industrial city of Kokura. Sweeney then instead went to the city of Nagasaki and dropped the bomb. Suddenly, the entire horizon burst into a super brilliant white with an intense flash, said Sweeney. The entire city was swallowed in a fiery blast, killing most and leaving survivors with horrible injuries. As the bomb went off, it burned people's outlines into the concrete and vaporized them into thin air. The unlucky ones who survived the initial blast looked like zombies with slimy flesh. Many were left homeless with nowhere to go and had no possessions at all. With the Japanese scared of another bombing, they sent their Instrument of Surrender, the official name of the document, to the White House, ending World War II. Because of this act, many Americans and Japanese were saved.
We knew it was going to happen.
It was going to end. Yeah.
Because things were not going well at all.
Yeah.
After Japan surrendered, America helped them rebuild. The Americans helped improve everything from their buildings to their government itself.
MacArthur presided over a transition from a military dictatorship to a democracy. And one of the clauses that MacArthur insisted be written into the Constitution is that Japan would have no military and that they would never go to war. So there's an anti-war clause in the Japanese Constitution.
When the war ended and the American troops arrived, so far as I can remember, there was any problem at all. In a way, looking back on the English history of, they have colonies all over the world, whereas America was kind of opposite of that. So Japanese people generally like Americans in those days. Yeah.
When Japan was in famine, due to the lack of resources from other countries they were depending on, America provided them with food. Although much of Congress was against supporting Japan, MacArthur insisted that the starving were fed, and Japan got the help that it needed.
We had a shortage of food, yes, but the American occupation force was, knowing that there was a shortage of food, so they were passing out cheese. So we got a lot of cheese,
The Americans helped Japan rebuild after the bombings, which is why peace is kept to this day. The Americans allowed Japan to remain independent and keep their emperor. After the war, America invested $2.2 billion into rebuilding Japan and modernizing it. After 7 years, Japan was able to be independent again. What was the tragedy? Thousands upon thousands had died. In the triumph, America made an ally, and many more had been saved. In the years to come, Japan and America held as fast allies, due to the 2 small days that were very large indeed. Hiroshima and Nagasaki.